My name is Emily Carter. I'm 31, and I've built my life around numbers. Quiet, logical numbers that don't lie. I'm a data analyst. I spend my days inside spreadsheets and predictive models, trying to make sense of chaos using patterns. For the longest time, I believed people were more unpredictable than data, but manageable if you loved them right. I learned I was wrong on a Thursday. The day my boyfriend, Daniel Reyes, exposed just how dangerous unpredictability could be. Daniel and I had been together for almost 2 years. When we met, he was a sweet, slightly awkward PR assistant with maybe 2,000 Instagram followers and a bright smile that made you feel like the world had softened a little. But somewhere between 2,000 followers and 15,000, Daniel became someone else. Everything, every breath, became content. Dinner nights became 45-minute photo shoots. Walks turned into vlog segments. Even gym time felt like I was an unwilling extra in a fit couple aesthetic reel. And still, I loved him, or at least the version of him I met. We moved into my apartment, a 17th floor high-rise I'd been renting for 5 years. I paid for the rent. I paid for the furniture. We split utilities, and honestly, I didn't mind supporting him while he grew his brand. I made more money. It wasn't a problem. Until it became one. The agreement. 6 months ago, we made a commitment. We were saving for a house. A future that felt stable, predictable, something my analytic mind could rely on. We opened a joint high-yield savings account, and the rule was simple. Only deposits, no withdrawals. My contribution, $3,000 monthly. His goal, at least $500 from his brand deals. It wasn't equal, but I didn't care. I thought we were working toward the same dream. Last week, during my lunch break, I logged in to check the accumulated interest. I was expecting around $80,000. What I saw made my stomach drop. Balance, $40,250.30. I froze. My first instinct was that the bank made an error, that my eyes were wrong, that the screen was wrong. But then I scrolled. Withdrawal, $15,000. Bali content trip. Withdrawal, $8,000. PR loungewear haul. Withdrawal, $22,000. Business investment networking. And it went on and on and on. 6 months, $75,000 gone. Gone. My hands were trembling. Not shaking, from fury, betrayal, heartbreak, some indescribable mixture that made my lungs refuse to work. For a moment, I just sat there, blinking at numbers that didn't match the life I thought I was living. Then the analyst in me took over. I printed every one of those statements, all 12 pages, and I waited. The confrontation. Daniel came home around 4 p.m., fresh from Pilates and brunch, smelling of vanilla body mist and content-ready happiness. His phone was glued to his hand. "Babe," he smiled, brushing a kiss against my cheek. "Can you help me film an unboxing real quick? It's for a collab." "No." He blinked as if I'd spoken a foreign language. What's wrong with you?" His voice sharpened, tiny, defensive knives. I didn't say a word. I simply slid the stack of statements across the kitchen island toward him. He picked them up, confused, then annoyed, then pale. He skimmed page 1, page 2, page 3. By page 4, he wasn't breathing. "Emily," his voice cracked. What is this?" "You tell me." My voice was steady, terrifyingly steady. "Where is the 75,000 in?" He looked at me the way people look at oncoming headlights, like refusing to flinch might stop the collision. Then the influencer mask snapped into place. "It's an investment," he said brightly. Too brightly. "You don't get how branding works. My Bali trip got me almost 4,000 new followers. The loungewear haul doubled my engagement. Daniel," my voice sliced the air, "you stole our house fund." His jaw tightened. "It's a joint account, Em. What's yours is mine. I didn't steal anything. I used it for us. For our future." "Our future?" I whispered. "You drained our savings without telling me. That isn't our future. That's theft." He scoffed. Actually scoffed. "You're being controlling, financially abusive even. You make good money. You can save again. I can't grow my brand without taking risks." I stared at him, this man I loved, now twisting the truth into a weapon. "Daniel, are you serious?" I asked. He crossed his arms. "You should be proud of me. I'm building something. Unlike you, I'm not stuck analyzing spreadsheets forever." There it was, that sting. For months, he'd been subtly elevating himself. The creative soul. The visionary. The risk-taker. And me? The boring woman behind a computer. I swallowed hard. "Are you done?" No, he snapped. I can't believe you're being so unsupportive. You're sabotaging my career. You're doing this on purpose. Well, I said quietly, I'm done. Silence. A stunned, heavy silence. What? He breathed. I'm breaking up with you. I want you out of my apartment. You're dumping me over money? His voice shook, rising in pitch. No, I'm breaking up with you because you're a thief and a liar. Daniel's face twisted, reddened. I hate you. You're a sociopath. You want me to have nothing. You seem to have $75,000 worth of investments. I stepped past him, picking up my bag. You have 24 hours to pack your things. I'll be at a hotel tonight. When I come back, I want you gone. He screamed behind me, voice cracking into wild, ragged notes, but I didn't look back. If I had, I might have seen what was about to come. The shaking hands, the frantic glances at his phone, the spark of something unstable igniting behind his eyes. Instead, I walked out, thinking the worst part was over. I had no idea the worst part would be broadcast to 15,000 strangers. The thing about shock is that it doesn't always look like tears. Sometimes it just looks like someone methodically wiping down a treadmill they don't even remember using. The next morning, I went to the gym. Not because I was okay, because I didn't know what else to do. I checked into the 24-hour gym near my hotel, tied my hair into a messy bun, and climbed onto a treadmill. I pressed quick start and just moved. My body ran while my brain replayed the same numbers on loop. 80,000 expected, 40,250 real, 75,000 gone. The numbers made sense. The betrayal did not. I had loved Daniel, not just liked his vibe or enjoyed his content, loved him enough to open a joint account, offer him my home, let him build his dreams on my stability. Maybe I was the foolish one. I don't know how long I was running before my phone started buzzing in the treadmill cup holder. One notification, then another, then dozens. At first, I ignored them. Then one name caught my eye. Lena, my best friend. Lena, Emily. Answer your phone, Lena. Are you seeing this? Lena. Daniel is on live, at your place. My heart stopped. I snatched my phone up, hands slick with sweat. More notifications poured in. Marco. Dude, you need to check IG. Coworker. Ryan. Is that your boyfriend? Unknown number. Emily. It's Jess from your building. Where are you? A cold, electric dread shot down my spine. I opened Instagram with shaking fingers. Balcony Boy begins. At the top of my feed, Daniel glows is live. 14.8K watching. I tapped it. The screen opened to my living room. My bookshelf, my rug, my coffee table. Except everything was wrong. The camera was propped up somewhere near the TV, angled wide. Daniel stood in the center of the frame, eyes red, hair a mess, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. I just can't, you guys, he sobbed dramatically, hand pressed to his chest. I knew that tone, the performance cry, the one he used for real talk stories. She broke up with me, he sniffed. She kicked me out. She said I deserve nothing. The comments were flying so fast I could barely read them. What? No, you deserve better, King. She sounds toxic. We got you. We're your family now. My stomach turned. I whispered to myself, this can't be happening. Daniel moved closer to the camera, his face blown out by bright ring light. I gave her everything, he choked, voice breaking at all the right places. I put my heart, my time, my brand into this relationship, and she just threw me out like trash. He sniffed again, wiping his face with the sleeve of his hoodie. My hoodie. Well, if I deserve nothing... He turned around slowly, his gaze landing on the far corner of the frame. My work laptop. My lungs forgot how to work. The first smash. Daniel walked over, picked up my laptop carefully, cradling it almost gently. This, he said, turning it toward the camera, is her stupid laptop. She loves this more than me. Always on it. Data analyst this, modeling risk that. She never cared about my dreams. He smiled into the lens, a wild, brittle smile. Well, data girl, analyze this. Before I could even move, before my brain could catch up with my eyes, he lifted the laptop and slammed it to the hardwood floor. The sound went through me like a gunshot. The comments exploded. Oh my God. Danny, she deserves this if she left you. Brew, this is content. I stared at the shattered shell of my laptop on screen, my entire career condensed into a broken rectangle. For a moment, I just floated, detaching. Then something inside my chest snapped back into place. Not my heart, my brain. The data analyst wakes up. I hit the side button on my phone, locking the screen. My reflection stared back at me, sweaty, pale, eyes wide. Then a voice in my head said, clear and cold, "This is a crime, and he's live streaming evidence." I opened the camera app. My thumb hovered. I didn't just hit record. I hit go live. My username flashed, Emily.Carter. Data is live. 3 watching. 3 viewers versus his 15,000. It didn't matter. "Hey," I said, my voice shaking. I lifted the phone enough to show my running shoes on the treadmill, the gym in the background. "If you're seeing this, my ex-boyfriend Daniel is currently at my apartment, destroying my things and throwing them off a 17th floor balcony. He's streaming it. I'm streaming this for evidence." 1 viewer left. 2 new ones joined. It didn't matter. "I'm calling 911, I said, "and I'm heading home." I switched apps, kept my live stream running in the background, and dialed. The 911 call. "911, what's your emergency?" "Yes, hi." My voice warbled. Too high, too fast. "My name is Emily Carter. I live at..." I rattled off my address, my words spilling over each other. "My ex-boyfriend is in my apartment right now, destroying my property and throwing things off the balcony. He's live streaming it on Instagram to over 15,000 people." There was a pause. "He's live streaming it?" the dispatcher repeated. "Yes," I said more firmly. "His handle is Daniel Glows. Mine is Emily.Carter Data. I'm streaming too, for evidence. He already smashed my laptop, and I think he's throwing other items off the balcony. It's the 17th floor. Someone could get hurt." "Officers are being dispatched right now, Ms. Carter," the dispatcher said, voice snapping into professional urgency. "Please stay on the line if you can, and do not approach him alone." "I'm driving there now," I said, already grabbing my bag, my gym card, my keys. I hopped off the treadmill, almost tripping. "I'll wait for the officers downstairs." "Understood. Again, do not confront him alone. We have units on the way." I hung up and went back to Instagram. Escalation. Daniel's viewer count was now at 15.2K. He was in my living room still, but the floor was chaos now. Books scattered, picture frames shattered, cushions tossed aside like they were nothing. "I gave her everything," he was ranting, pacing back and forth. "I invested in us, and she calls me a thief. She kicked me out. She wants me to have nothing, fine, then she gets nothing too." He marched toward the sliding balcony door. "No," I whispered, breath fogging the inside of my car as I sped out of the parking lot. He slid the door open, and the sound of traffic and city noise rushed into the background of his levee. He walked toward the corner of the balcony, where, just outside the frame, I knew there was a crate I kept under a cover. He yanked the cover away, revealing my vinyl collection, vintage records I'd collected since college. "I hope these can fly," he laughed bitterly. He picked up one and threw it off the 17th floor. The chat went feral. "Bruce, this is crazy. She deserves it. Someone could die, TFA." He threw another. From my car, I could almost see it in my mind. The flash of black discs tumbling through the air, splintering on concrete. I propped my phone up on the dashboard, my own live still running. "So," I said, breathing hard, trying to keep my voice steady. "Update. I'm on my way back to my building. The police are on their way. If anything happens to someone below that balcony, it's on him. You're all watching this in real time." My viewer's 18 now. Still nothing compared to his. But evidence didn't need an audience. It needed clarity. The drive. The city blurred around me as I drove. I hit a red light. My knee bounced uncontrollably. I kept glancing at his live. Now he was in my bedroom, my closet. "Oh, look," he said, voice almost giddy. "Her precious work clothes. Her, I'm better than you because I have a real job wardrobe." He was ripping my blazers off hangers, tossing them into piles. Someone in his comments wrote, "Stop, this is too far." Someone else, "No, it's not. She ruined his life." I gripped the steering wheel until my fingers ached. "No, Daniel," I muttered to the screen. "You ruined your own life." I pulled into my building street just as 3 police cars, lights flashing but sirens off, turned the corner in front of me. My phone vibrated in my hand. "Unknown. Ms. Carter, this is your building manager. Are you close? The police are here." "I'm right behind them," I typed back with shaky fingers. Then I ended my live long enough to park. Arrival. The scene in front of my building felt surreal. There were clothes scattered on the pavement. Books. Pieces of smashed vinyl glinting like black glass. A crowd had gathered at a distance, phones out, filming. "Of course." I ran up to the nearest officer, my chest tight. "I'm Emily Carter," I said, pointing up toward the 17th floor. "That's my apartment. I'm the one who called. He's still up there. He's still live." The sergeant, a tall man with tired eyes, looked me over once, then nodded. You're the owner? He asked. Yes, I said. Everything he's destroying, everything on the street, it's mine. He held out his hand. Phone. I gave it to him. He glanced at the screen, still open to Daniel's live. Daniel was in my closet again, now tugging on a suit jacket of mine he'd always joked made me look like someone's intimidating boss. The sergeant's jaw tightened. All right, he said. Let's go. We walked inside toward the elevators, me and 3 very large, very serious police officers. The ride up was silent. My heart pounded so loud I was sure they could hear it. I clutched my keys in my palm like a talisman and thought, I broke up with him yesterday. Today, I might be watching the end of his entire life play out on a phone screen. What I didn't know yet was that the whole world was watching too. The elevator ride to the 17th floor felt like a descent into some alternate reality, one where my quiet, carefully arranged life had been hijacked by chaos wearing my boyfriend's face. The sergeant stood in front, unreadable. 2 officers flanked him, tense but calm, hands near their belts. I stood behind them, clutching my keys so hard they left half moon marks in my palm. My phone, still in the sergeant's hand, glowed with Daniel's live stream. 17.2K viewers. The world was watching my life unravel in real time. When the elevator doors slid open, the hallway looked the same as always. Soft gray walls, faint scent of lemon cleaner. But my body knew something was wrong. Every step felt heavier. The carpet muffled the officer's boots, like the building itself was bracing. We reached my door. This is it, I whispered. The sergeant held up a hand to silence me. He motioned for me to step back against the opposite wall. I pressed myself there, trembling. He lowered his voice. When you unlock the door, step away. We'll go in first. I nodded, my fingers barely working as I slid the key into the lock. My wrist shook. The metal clicked. Now move back, he murmured. I stepped away just as the sergeant pushed the door open with a shoulder, and all hell broke loose. Inside, the chaos. Police, don't move! The shout blasted through the apartment so loudly it vibrated the floor. I peeked from behind the officers. Daniel was in the middle of my living room, holding my PlayStation 5 like a football. My phone stand was positioned next to the TV, angled perfectly to capture him, and now the police too. The stream kept running. The comments were exploding. Daniel froze. He looked from the officers to my scraped-up floor, to the wreckage around him, to the live stream audience, and finally, to me standing behind them. His face shattered. Emily, his voice cracked in disbelief. You called the cops on me? My throat tightened. You're destroying my apartment, Daniel. You threw things off a balcony. You almost hit someone. One of the officers stepped forward. Sir, put the console down. Right now. Daniel clutched it tighter, eyes darting. No, you don't understand. She's the one. She kicked me out. She's abusive. She stole from me. Sir, the sergeant repeated, firmer this time, put the item down or we will assist you in doing so. Then, to my absolute horror, Daniel turned back toward the phone, toward his viewers. You guys see this, right? He shouted desperately. They're arresting me for nothing. I'm the victim. Emily's a psycho. She ruined my career. My blood went cold. Even then, even cornered by police, Daniel saw the world through a screen. He took a step toward his phone. Bad idea. The second officer moved fast, grabbing Daniel's arm and twisting it gently behind his back. The PS5 slipped from Daniel's fingers and hit the carpet with a heavy thud. No, he shrieked, thrashing. Get off me! Stop! You can't arrest me! I'm an influencer! I have rights! Sir, stop resisting, the officer said calmly, already snapping cuffs around his wrists. Daniel kicked backward, almost hitting the coffee table leg. Emily, he screamed, voice cracking higher than I'd ever heard. You're doing this! You're ruining my life! I swallowed, my voice barely there. You ruined it yourself. The end of the stream. The sergeant walked to the streaming phone, picked it up carefully, and stared directly into the lens, into the eyes of 17,000 strangers. This live stream, he said, every syllable crisp, is evidence in an active criminal investigation. The chat detonated. WTF? Is this real? He's getting arrested live? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Free him. No, keep him LMAO. And then, with one press of his finger, he ended the broadcast. Just like that, silence. Digital, emotional, physical silence. The kind that leaves your ears ringing. 2 officers hauled Daniel to his feet. He was still crying, breathlessly chanting. Emily, babe, please don't do this. I can fix it, I promise. Just don't let them. I didn't do this, I whispered. You did. He went quiet. Just for a moment, he looked like a terrified boy instead of a furious influencer. But then the rage returned, and he spat at the officers. Everything after that happened very fast. He was taken out the door, still shouting, still calling me a monster, still insisting the world was wrong, and he was right. The officers guided him into the hallway. His screaming echoed down the corridor. Then the elevator doors closed, cutting his voice off mid-sentence. I exhaled shakily, realizing I hadn't breathed properly in minutes. What he left behind. Once Daniel was gone, the sergeant turned to me. "Ma'am, I need you to see the full extent of the damage." I nodded, even though part of me wanted to run away from this apartment, from these memories, from the jagged wound in my life. We walked through the living room first. My TV was smashed. My floor was covered in splintered vinyl. My laptop lay cracked open like a shattered shell. "Jesus," I whispered. The sergeant's face softened slightly. He did quite a number. Then the officers opened the door to my bedroom. It was worse. Clothes were strewn everywhere. Hangers bent. My mattress slashed in zigzag patterns like a deranged signature. My vanity mirror shattered into a spiderweb of glittering pieces. My closet emptied, drawers dumped, shoes thrown. My chest tightened painfully. This wasn't just vandalism, it was violence. Not against me, but against my life, my stability, everything I'd built for myself. One of the officers crouched to pick up a pair of scissors discarded near my torn bedding. "He used these," she muttered, tucking them into an evidence bag. I pressed my hand against my mouth. "I'm so sorry," the sergeant said gently. "We'll document everything." He handed my phone back. "You did the right thing, Ms. Carter." My voice trembled. "I don't feel like I did." He gave me a sad smile. "Give it time. Truth takes a while to feel right." A sudden buzz. Just as I stepped onto the balcony, now empty except for a few stray scraps of cardboard, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "Maya Reyes, Daniel's mother. Emily, he just called us from the station. He says you had him arrested. Please tell me what is going on." I stared at the message. The city below looked so small, like a map, like something someone could ruin from 17 stories up without thinking twice. My thumb hovered over the screen. I didn't answer her, not yet, because right now, standing in the ruins of what used to be my home, there was only one thought in my mind. This was only the beginning. The police left my apartment around 11 p.m. after photographing every shattered item, filling out an incident report, and advising me, for my own safety, not to stay there overnight. Not that I could have. There wasn't a spot left in that apartment that didn't feel tainted, violated. So I checked back into my hotel, dropped my bag on the floor, and stood in the dark room staring at my reflection in the window, city lights flickering behind me like tiny, indifferent stars. The adrenaline had worn off. Shock had calcified into something heavier. Every bone in my body hurt. Before I could talk myself out of it, I finally opened the unread text I'd gotten from hours before. Daniel's mother. "Maya Reyes, Emily, he's hysterical. He said you had him arrested. Please tell me what happened." There was a time when Maya sent me recipes, holiday cards, random "saw this and thought of you" photos. I used to think she and I would be family someday. Now I sat on a hotel bed, hands shaking, typing out the ugliest truth I'd ever lived through. Me. He drained our house fund. He destroyed my belongings. He threw items off a 17th floor balcony, and he live-streamed all of it. The police arrested him because it was a crime. A few minutes passed. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Finally, "Maya, oh God, Emily, can we please talk in person tomorrow?" I didn't want to. I wasn't ready. But deep inside, I knew they deserved to know the truth directly, not from Daniel's dramatized, self-victimizing delusion. Me, yes, 1 hour, Evelyn's coffee house. She sent a quick thank you, but it didn't comfort me. Nothing did. I barely slept. When I did, I dreamed of ring lights flickering like police sirens. The internet explodes. At 7 a.m., my phone buzzed until it vibrated off the nightstand. Texts, emails, DMs, unknown numbers, work messages, screenshots, endless screenshots. The first one I opened was from Lena. "Lena, girl, he's gone viral. You need to see this." I opened the links she sent. My heart dropped. TikTok, influencer loses his mind on live. Balcony boy goes feral views, 2.1 M. Twitter cam balcony boy trending at number 4. Instagram reels, live. Meltdown recorded by 15K people. What did we just watch? Views, 987K. Reddit, our cringe. On insane people Facebook, our public freakout. Dozens of uploaded clips. People dissecting Daniel's meltdown like it was entertainment. Memes of him screaming at the cops, slow-motion edits of him throwing my vinyls. Someone stitched a compilation titled Top 10 Worst Breakups of 2025. My stomach twisted so hard I had to sit down. He always wanted to go viral, not like this. Someone had screen recorded the entire live stream. 30 minutes, high resolution, capturing every scream, every insult, every violent act. It was already circulating like wildfire. I couldn't stop it. Nobody could. The storm had begun. Meeting his parents. At 10 a.m., I walked into Evelyn's coffee house, a dim little cafe where conversations disappeared under soft jazz music. I spotted Daniel's parents immediately. They looked like they'd aged 10 years overnight. His mother stood when she saw me. Her eyes were swollen, mascara smudges she hadn't bothered to clean. "Emily," she whispered, voice breaking. His father remained seated, staring at the table like it might swallow him whole. I took a seat across from them. Maya wiped at her face. "Please, tell us everything." He wouldn't stop crying. "He said you set him up, that you ruined him." I inhaled slowly, removed the envelope from my bag, and placed it on the table. 12 printed bank statements, the police incident report, photos of the apartment. His father hesitated, then reached for the papers with trembling hands. Silence. 10 minutes of silence. Page after page, his brows furrowed deeper, his jaw clenched. His fingers tightened around the edges. Finally, he exhaled, one long, defeated breath. This has to be a mistake," he whispered, though he didn't sound like he believed it. "It isn't," I said softly. "It's all documented, and the live stream was recorded." Maya covered her mouth, new tears spilling. "My baby, my son," her voice cracked. "He told us you took everything from him. He said you stole his money." "He stole ours," I said gently. "All $75,000 of it." His father pressed a hand to his forehead. "We raised him better than this. This is... He stopped, unable to finish. "I'm not here to attack him," I said quietly. "I'm here because you deserve to know the truth." Maya reached across the table, gripping my hand with desperation. "Emily, please don't press charges. He's your Daniel. He made a mistake." My throat tightened. "He could have killed someone, Maya. He threw objects off a balcony. He destroyed my home. He screamed at me. And then he lied about it online." His father looked up. Tears rimmed his eyes now. "We can't fix this," he whispered. "We don't have that kind of money." "I'm not asking you to pay anything," I said. They blinked at me in surprise. "But I am moving forward with both cases." Maya sobbed. "He'll be ruined!" "He ruined himself," I said softly. "I'm just protecting myself." After a long, heavy silence, his father nodded. "I understand," he whispered. "You're right. We'll support him, but we won't defend what he did." For the first time since this began, I felt something like grief stir inside me. Not for Daniel, but for his parents. They hadn't done any of this, yet they were paying in a way that wasn't financial. Emotionally, publicly, as parents watching their child implode. I stood to leave. Maya followed me to the door. "Emily, do you hate him now?" I paused. The answer came slowly, quietly. "No, I don't hate him. I'm just done being hurt." Building management. 2 hours later, I sat in the apartment building's private conference room, speaking with the property manager. He slid photos across the table, images security collected from downstairs. Shattered vinyl pieces, splintered wood, fragments of my belongings scattered like debris from an explosion. "This could have seriously injured someone," he said. "You understand that?" "Yes," I whispered. "I do." "By policy, Daniel Reyes is formally banned from the building." "Good. We are also allowing you to break your lease early, no penalty, due to the extreme circumstances." Relief hit so hard I almost cried. "Thank you," I whispered. "We'll send you the paperwork tonight." I nodded, unable to speak. The phone. When I finally went back to the apartment to gather whatever wasn't destroyed, an officer met me in the lobby. "Ms. Carter," he said, "we retrieved this from the suspect's belongings. It was used during the incident." He held out a clear evidence bag. Inside it, Daniel's phone. "The one he live-streamed with?" "The judge will likely want the original file," he said. "But for now, it's yours until your attorney submits it." I stared at the phone. A single cold device that captured the moment my life detonated. "I'll give it straight to my lawyer," I said quietly. He nodded and walked away. I held the bag in my hands. This little object ruined him, saved me, exposed everything. It was the digital equivalent of a diary written in crimes. I exhaled shakily, whispering to myself, "This is far from over." 6 months. It's shocking what can happen in 6 months. A relationship can dissolve. A home can be destroyed. A man with a dream of becoming famous can get exactly what he wished for and discover the price of it. The court system moves slowly and brutally, but when it finally arrives, it lands like a hammer. And in Daniel's case, it wasn't even a fair fight. Not with the evidence he'd given me, recorded by his own hand, streamed to thousands. He turned his downfall into a highlight reel. I just delivered it to the right courtroom. The criminal case. The hearing was packed. Not with spectators. This wasn't open to the public, but with tension. Thick, coiled, vibrating tension. Daniel sat at the defendant's table, shoulders slumped, wearing a wrinkled button-up and a defeated expression. His parents were behind him. His mom's hands trembled every time she fixed his collar. His father barely spoke. His lawyer, a tired, overworked public defender, flipped through a thin folder, his expression grim. They didn't have much to defend with. My attorney, on the other hand, a shark in heels. Alexandra Wren, one of the top civil litigation attorneys in the state. When she first introduced herself, she'd smiled politely and said, "Your ex live-streamed his crimes. This is refreshingly simple." Today, she sat beside me with a binder the size of a small suitcase, tabbed, color-coded, and impossible to argue against. The judge reviewed the first few pages silently, and then Alexandra pressed play. The entire court watched the 30-minute screen recording of Daniel's meltdown. 30 minutes of him screaming, destroying property, smashing electronics, tearing clothes, throwing items off the balcony, cursing at the police, accusing me of abuse while committing actual vandalism. His own voice, his own face, his own hands doing every action. There was no editing, no manipulation, no narrative spin, just raw, unfiltered truth. When the video ended, the courtroom was dead silent. Daniel stared at the table. His mother sobbed softly. His father had his face in his hands. His lawyer cleared his throat. Your Honor, the defendant would like to change his plea. The judge looked down over her glasses. To? Daniel's voice cracked. Guilty. The sentence. The judge didn't drag it out. Given the evidence and the defendant's willingness to plead guilty, the court sentences Daniel Reyes to... My breath hitched. 2 years of supervised probation, a $5,000 fine, and 500 hours of community service. Additionally, he is required to attend an anger management program and may not contact the victim in any form. No jail time, but consequences nonetheless. I nodded quietly. I wasn't looking for revenge. I was looking for safety and closure. But we still had the civil case, the civil lawsuit. People love to talk about breakups like they're emotional battles. They forget. Sometimes breakups are financial wars. A month later, we returned to court for the civil hearing. Daniel looked thinner, exhausted, broken. Maybe for the first time in his life, he understood consequences. His lawyer argued weakly that the money was from a joint account, and therefore Daniel had equal right to spend it. Alexandra was ready. She produced the printed messages and emails. Me, only deposits into the house fund, no withdrawals. Daniel agreed. The judge's eyes sharpened. Mr. Reyes, she said, did you or did you not use this money for personal expenditures unrelated to the stated purpose of the account? Daniel swallowed hard. Yes. And did you inform Ms. Carter of your withdrawals? He didn't answer. The judge pressed. Mr. Reyes? No, he whispered. It was over in 20 minutes. She ruled in my favor. All funds misappropriated from the joint account are to be repaid in full. Additionally, Ms. Carter is entitled to damages totaling $11,450 for property destruction. Total judgment, $86,450. Daniel blinked rapidly, like numbers were a foreign language. I don't have that, he whispered. The judge didn't flinch. Then your wages will be garnished. Partial payment plans will be established. Failure to comply will result in contempt of court. But that wasn't what happened. Not exactly. 2 weeks later, I received a plain envelope in the mail. Inside, a cashier's check, $86,450. A written note tucked behind it. Emily, we are so sorry. Please don't blame him alone. Blame us for not seeing the signs sooner. We had to take a second mortgage to pay this, but we couldn't let him go to jail for contempt. Maya and Robert Reyes. I sat alone at my kitchen table in silence. I had never felt heavier holding a check in my life. I didn't feel victory. I didn't feel vindication. I felt tired and strangely sad for two good people caught in the crossfire of their son's choices. But I deposited the check. It was mine, every dollar, every scar behind it. And I used it exactly the way I had originally wanted to. I put it down on a house, a small one, Quiet neighborhood, a little garden, a sturdy fence, a security system with cameras pointed at every angle. My own place, mine alone, a home Daniel would never set foot in. Where is Daniel now? Rumors floated in through friends of friends. He'd moved back in with his parents. He worked at a small coffee shop in town. He kept his head down. He didn't mention influencer life anymore. Sometimes customers recognized him. Weren't you that? They didn't have to finish. He knew. He was meme-level famous for a month. Internet immortality, for all the wrong reasons. Balcony boy, gifs, reaction memes, parodies. Everything he'd ever dreamed of, everything he hated. The fame he begged for came, and it ruined him. Moving forward, I moved into my new house on a cool Friday morning. No cameras, no ring lights, no performative relationship. Just sunlight warming the hardwood floors and a quiet backyard where I planted herbs on day one, something I'd always wanted to do but never had space for. My therapist told me something that stuck. You loved who Daniel was, not who he became, and grieving that difference is allowed. So I grieved, I healed, I rebuilt. And slowly, very slowly, I began to trust again. Someone new. His name is Nathan Hale, 32, a librarian. We met at the local library when he helped me find a book on sustainable gardening. No cameras, no followers, no aesthetic feeds. Just a man who enjoys quiet mornings, worn paperbacks, and tea. He told me on our third date, influencers are a societal plague, no offense. I laughed harder than I had in months. Nathan is predictable, steady, exactly what my bruised heart needed. He doesn't want to go viral. He wants to live. And for the first time in a long time, I do too. When a life collapses, people expect the rebuilding to be dramatic. Montages, revelations, grand closure. But healing rarely looks cinematic. It looks like small things. Morning sunlight on a new kitchen counter. Quiet dinners, where no one angles their plate for the perfect shot. A home where things stay exactly where you left them, because no one is staging your life for content. It was 6 months after the court ruling when I finally realized I wasn't living in reaction to Daniel anymore. I was just living. My new home. The house wasn't big. It didn't need to be. A one-story cottage-style place on a tree-lined street. A fenced yard. A solid security system with motion lights so bright they could probably signal planes. My neighbors were a retired couple on one side and a nurse with an elderly dog on the other. No influencers. No live streamers. No one who cared about engagement. The first morning there, I brewed coffee and walked barefoot across the hardwood floors, feeling the boards warm under the sunlight. I opened the back door, stepped onto the small deck, and watched birds hop along the fence. Quiet, real quiet. Not the tense, waiting for the next shoe to drop quiet that defined my last few months with Daniel. Just peace. My peace. The ghost of balcony boy. Daniel didn't contact me again. Not after the restraining order, not after sentencing, not after the civil ruling. But news has a way of leaking through small towns. One afternoon, Lena sent me a message. Lena, he's working at a local coffee shop now. Looks different. Quiet. Doesn't talk to anyone. Another friend wrote, Jen, someone tried to take a picture of him and he freaked out. Guess he hates cameras now. I didn't reply to either message. Not because I felt nothing, but because I felt too much. I didn't want to hate him. I didn't want to pity him either. I wanted to move forward without letting his shadow ruin the sunlight I was finally learning to enjoy. What happened to Daniel was a consequence, not a curse I put on him. He threw away our future, our money, my trust, and then broadcast his destruction like it was some sort of performance piece. He wasn't a villain, just a man who built his world on a spotlight and burned in its heat. But I didn't need to track his ashes. Learning to live without an audience. One of the hardest adjustments after dating an influencer wasn't losing him. It was losing the constant pressure to perform. For months, I found myself plating my meals prettier, choosing nicer outfits for grocery runs, straightening up the background of my Zoom calls, even though no one cared. It was muscle memory. Unlearning took time. Sometimes I caught myself posing my coffee mug by instinct. I'd stop, laugh under my breath, and take a messy, normal sip instead. Messy is fine, my therapist reminded me one morning. Life isn't content, it's presence. She was right. I stopped staging anything. Stopped trying to look like the well-curated version of myself I'd once been pressured to embody. My house looked lived in now, plants half wilted from overwatering. A pile of mail I promised myself I'd sort through tomorrow, shoes left by the door. Perfect in its imperfection. Nathan. If my life before was a chaotic, overstimulated feed, then Nathan was the algorithm refresh. We met again, accidentally this time, on a Wednesday evening at the local farmer's market. I was buying basil plants I was fully prepared to kill within a week. He stood behind me in line, holding a stack of used books tied with twine and a bag of fresh honey. He smiled the way gentle people do, slow, warm, a little shy. Emily, right? He remembered my name. Yep, I said, surprised at how nice that felt. And you're Nathan, the librarian who shamed influencers. He turned red. I didn't shame them. Well, maybe a little. I laughed. He relaxed. We talked for 20 minutes in the middle of the market, surrounded by the smell of bread and flowers. No one filmed us. No one asked for a selfie. No one cared. One date turned into three. 3 into weekends spent reading on my couch. Weekends into small rituals. Thursday night pasta. Saturday morning library runs. Sunday walks in the park. He was steady, kind, predictable, not in a boring way, but in a comforting one. He texted when he said he would, showed up early, listened. When I told him about Daniel, not everything, just enough, he said something that made my eyes sting. Someone who breaks your life for an audience never loved you. Someone who loves you tries to make your life gentler. Nathan's gentleness didn't feel like silence or absence. It felt like safety. And I didn't realize how much I needed safety until it was given back to me. The last piece. It was a warm Tuesday when Lena sent me one final message about Daniel. Lena, he deleted his accounts. All of them. Total digital disappearance. I stared at the message for a long time. That was the moment I let out a small breath I didn't know I'd been holding for months. Not because I wished him gone, but because I knew it meant something important. Daniel finally stopped trying to be watched, and I finally stopped being afraid of being seen. A life rebuilt. One night, I sat out on my back porch drinking tea while Nathan read beside me, the warm glow of a porch light illuminating the space between us. My yard smelled like fresh basil and wet soil. A breeze rustled the leaves. Somewhere next door, the old dog barked lazily. Nathan closed his book. You look peaceful, he said. I am, I whispered, almost surprised by the truth of it. He smiled softly. Good. You deserve that. I leaned my head on his shoulder. I thought about Daniel, not with anger, but with clarity. He wanted fame. He wanted attention. He wanted a curated life. And he got it, just not the way he expected. Me? I wanted something different. Not an audience, not an aesthetic, not the perfect feed. Just peace, stability, honesty, a real life lived quietly. In the end, I realized something. Daniel built his world on a polished lie. I rebuilt mine on the raw truth. And the truth doesn't need a live stream.